Welcome, Brewer fans, back to another podcast of the Brew Crew Review. With me today, we've got Vince, Scott, and myself, Craig. We've got some viewer email we need to get to, and also we'll have our 9-inning step up to the plate questions. We'll rapid-fire question or answer off for you guys. And, so without further ado, let's jump right in. We'll also point out that during this second podcast each week, we will try to do some highlights and possibly some prospect profiles of minor leaguers that we'd like to talk about and see how, give updates on how they're doing. The minor league season is just getting underway after Easter weekend here, so nothing to report as of now, but obviously the minor leaguers that really looked good to me in the spring training when they're up at the big club. Corbin Burns was up earlier in March, and he looked really good. And also, Keston Hiura really looked like he'd be able to hold his own against major league pitchers already. So those are two names, probably the two minor leaguers of the Brewers that I think have the best chance to be part of our core of a rebuild here in the next few years. So, not rebuild, but the end of our rebuild into our contending, hopefully, Brewer team going forward. All right. Also, I'd like to point out that if you guys would like for us to answer any questions you may have, you can send them in to brewcrewreview@hotmail.com, and we'll try to answer as many as we can each week. Again, we can only sort through so many. So, Scott, you picked out a couple of good ones this week. Let's start right off.
Oh, Craig, I want to remind everybody, too, they can also follow us on Twitter. And, of course, submit your questions there. Let's have a great interactive dialogue where we just talk about Brewers. And it's Brew Review 1. So that's our Twitter handle. So definitely.
All right.
Yeah, we'll probably try to get your email address too, guys.
We'll get to it next week or the week after. We can only, like Craig said, we can only do so many emails.
Yeah, also our YouTube channel will have some mystery videos posted on there every once in a while from our former Brew Review award-winning television show, some behind-the-scenes tidbits or some obscure things. If you check it on there, there's a special video of Tim Dillard back in 2006 with the Huntsville Stars in Huntsville, Alabama, which also includes highlights of a Ryan Braun playing third base and hitting a home run, and Tim Dillard being a great man that he is, with some awesome highlights as he was charting pitches. So you can check that out.
I couldn't believe that our interns unearthed that. That was pretty great video footage.
Oh yeah,
those guys do a lot of work. Let me tell you.
And Vince has always been great at hiring interns, and he will continue in that role as we move forward.
Yep.
So again, let's go ahead with it. The mailbag. Our first question comes from one of our longtime friends of the show, and he's our anonymous source. This comes from Tom C, and his question is,
you mean T. Carter?
No, it's Tom C, the anonymous source.
Well, you can't say.
Yeah,
okay.
He's not just.
So it's T. Does he like to go by T. Carter or Tom C? I know he's anonymous, so we got to protect his identity. But is it T. Carter or Tom C?
Outer sources, guys, and we just did.
Well,
kind of.
We can't say Tom Carter. You can't say Tom Carter's name on the air.
He's very adamant about this, guys.
He's anonymous.
This is what happened.
So we just gotta,
it's how he lost his source.
Got to keep it that way.
Also,
right.
the F-bombs are also not appreciated.
What?
Tim Tebow is in the league right now, or he's in Major League Baseball, so it's frowned upon, Scott.
That's
anyway,
right.
Here's Tom C's question. Do you believe that Major League Baseball will/should adopt the DH in both leagues? Who wants to start us off?
I would say no. I hope that we keep it as is. The pitchers that in the National League. I think the strategy behind the pitching or the pitchers actually having to hit for themselves. I like the late game substitutions that have to be made. I like the strategy and the chess that goes into that. I'm a bit of a purist that way. So I would say no. The National League should not adopt the DH.
Scott?
If I had to pick, my favorite option would be that the pitchers should bat. And I know coming off the whole Jimmy Nelson thing last year, that's kind of something that people don't want to hear. But as a baseball purist, I too, like Vince, enjoy the strategy involved in it. I like seeing the occasional bunt or hit and run or safety or suicide squeeze. I think those are some of the greatest plays in baseball, and obviously they're much more rare now. My first choice would be to have pitchers in both leagues bat. My second choice would be the DH in both leagues. My third choice is what we're doing right now, which is one league does one thing and the other league does the other. That's stupid.
Okay, I'll chime in. And Tom, again, thanks for the email. I kind of like it how it is. I like that the fact there's a difference in the league. However, and I would leave it. However, I'm coming around to the fact that Major League Baseball is a business, and there's the Players Association will want to protect their players, and basically by putting the DH in both leagues, it will prevent pitchers from getting injured, either hitting or running the bases. And the Brewer fans are all too well aware of that with what happened to Jimmy Nelson, and this happens, to other teams too. But also it just creates basically more jobs. That's going to be, that many more, half a league's worth of DH jobs open. And I think couple that, and obviously if they're going to add a DH to both leagues, they'll probably expand the rosters, like I think Vince is suggesting. I think those two things unfortunately will happen. I don't know that they should, because I'm a purist, kind of like Vince. I like the differences between the league. The leagues, just because they've always been that way, and why change that? Are we going to suddenly, just like, and we'll do this for a future podcast to talk about, but I really, really don't like, as a purist, that idea that they were going to try and spring train this year of, if it goes into extra innings, to start with a guy on second base. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's
absolutely
really
not.
So we'll discuss that in future in another podcast. But just to answer Tom's question, I as far as what they will or should do with the DH, I think that they will put the DH in both leagues, and I think they should leave it how it is. So, all right, let's move on to our next question. Again, thanks for your emails, guys. This comes from Dan from New Berlin, and his question is, if you guys had to guess, do you think that Ryan Braun will still be a first baseman at the end of the 2008 season for the Milwaukee Brewers? Basically, he's asking, will he still be platooning with Ames, or do you think if a trade happens, the Ryan Braun first base experiment will end and he'll go back to the outfield? Scott, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I guess if a trade happens, I think that he'll probably still do a little bit of first base because, one, because I think it makes him a little bit more versatile, makes him a little bit more valuable. So I don't think that's ever going to completely go away. But having said that, I think that he would take probably the bulk of his at-bats would probably be in left field at this point. But that could, again, change with the roster. Then maybe in the offseason we go out and get another outfielder. Or we have plenty of outfielders that are just waiting to come up, like Phillips or Keon Broxton if he gets it together. So, yeah, there's definitely people out there. But, yeah, that's my thought on it.
Yeah. Vince?
Yeah, I think there still will be in the first base mix. I think that Braun at first base does a number of things. Number one, you still have this outfield situation where we've got a ton of guys with major league experience in the outfield who are very quality players, so it opens up a spot for one of those guys when Braun's at first. Number two, I think that the right-left platoon of Braun and Thames could be good for both of those guys, or for the lineup as a whole. And number three, I think with Braun's recent past, what has it been, 3-4 seasons, I think that just the number of nagging injuries that he's had generally stem from him playing the outfield. He's got a thumb issue, a wrist issue, a back issue, and he's still productive when he plays. So I think that the idea being is that the more flexibility you give Braun in terms of his ability to kind of play at a defensive position that's maybe a little bit more, or a little bit less taxing than the outfield, I think it's a good thing. It keeps the bat in the lineup for longer, and a soft platoon with Thames or a platoon situation where he's at first base some games and in the outfield at other times is a good thing for him and for the team. And I'll also just say, too, I don't think that, if Braun's at first base or if Braun is in the outfield, that may mean that we haven't found a trading partner for a number of our outfielders. But it also means it's because we're in contention and things are working. So that means Braun at first base is paying some dividends.
Yeah, Dan, thanks again for your question. Good points, Vince and Scott. I think what he's kind of alluding to is, do we think that the Ryan Braun first base thing is just an experiment that will probably just go away after this year? And my answer is similar to your guys, is that I think it's just I think he won't be, the greatest defensive first baseman in the league or anything like that, but I think it gives a place, basically the team to put a place to put Braun going forward, especially, Thames is only under contract this year and next, and Braun's beyond that. So the flexibility, I think, is something going back to those days with the Astros front office, that Stearns is something he really keys on, and you see it up and down the Brewers lineup. And to have the flexibility of either using Braun at first base or corner outfield, I think is something that Stearns is going to want going forward. And, Ryan Braun seems open to it. And so I don't think it'll go away. I think his preference would be to probably stay in the outfield, but I think going forward, if we were to trade an outfielder, Braun would probably go back there pretty much full time and whatnot. But if we were to trade Thames instead of Santana or something like that, I think Braun could probably be a full-time first baseman at least for this year. And who knows? But I think having the flexibility of playing in both positions going forward will just get his and younger players at bats in the lineup as often as possible. And also, so I think just the flexibility of it will allow that to go on further. So, all right. Well, that's it for this week's mailbag. There was a couple other questions we'll save for next week, but again, send them in if you have them. Any more questions you want to answer. But let's go to our Stepping Up to the Plate segment. We'll go over 9 questions and go over our answers to them as quickly as we possibly can. So let's go. 1 question per inning, and we'll each get an answer in. Let's start off first inning. Predict which Brewers will be 2018 All-Stars. Scott, start us off.
2018 All-Stars, I will say Lorenzo Cain and no one else.
Okay, Vince?
I'm going to go with Cain and Shaw.
Okay. I'm going to just go with Christian Yelich. I know it's hard to break the outfield. There's so many good outfielders, but I feel he's going to have a good first half. It's the first time Brewer, but we'll see. All right, second inning. Okay, who would be your guys' pick for quote-unquote backup closer if Knebel either has an injury or fails miserably or something out of the gate? Well, who would be your – I already stated I think his job's pretty safe, but who would be your pick for next in line for closer? Vince?
Boy, I think that the Brewers would probably view Jeremy Jeffers in that role because he's done it before. I personally might consider throwing Hader out there just because of the velocity you can bring to the table.
Yeah. Scott?
Boy, I don't know. I think there's a slight chance that they could throw Woodruff into the closer's role instead. But I guess – I don't know. They might even throw Barnes in there.
Yeah, Barnes is tied for saves with Knebel on the season.
It's true.
1 for 1. Here we go. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. It's tough to identify one guy. Like you pointed out, Jeffers got some saving experience, even with the Brewers. Albers has some. Hader could definitely get the job done, but I think they probably like his flexibility earlier, not in the closer role. So I would also lean toward them giving a shot to some younger guys like Jacob Barnes or Taylor Williams. But we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't have to be a question that actually has to get answered this season, at least. Let's hope. Okay, next, third inning. Who's your guys' preference for, if you had to pick, which Brewer would get the most at-bats at second base this year between Hernan Perez, Eric Sogard, and Jonathan Villar? Scott, start us off.
I'm going to go with Sogard just because it's a really small sample size, but he did a lot last year just by getting on base and playing sound defense and making smart decisions on the bases. That was enough right there to give him the nod over VR or Perez for me.
Vince?
Yeah, I yeah, small sample size is right, but in the last 2 games, Jonathan VR has just not looked like he's learned much. Unfortunately, he's got a ton of raw talent, but he just doesn't seem to put it together. I'd have to go with Sogard with those guys as well.
Yeah, I'll go with Hernan Perez, as I mentioned in our last podcast. I think that if he was given a starting role, he'd put up surprisingly really good numbers as a starter, better than – and Sogard, I think, is really a good utility infielder, but he just doesn't strike me as someone who should probably be starting every day with his skill set. But, you know, he is one of those guys who's an underdog you root for, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think, unfortunately, Jonathan VR probably will get the most at-bats, but that would be my preference, that Perez gets the most at-bats. Okay, 4th inning. Who gets the most at-bats this year between Thames, either Eric Thames or Domingo Santana, if you had to just randomly guess? Vince?
I'm going to go with Santana. I mean, Thames, at this point, it seems like he's in a soft platoon role with Braun at first base. And I think Santana's kind of earned the right to start out in right field. That's why we moved Braun in the first place.
Scott?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Santana. I mean, right now Thames is splitting time with technically 3 other people, so that's going to make it a little bit tougher for him to be able to get those at bats.
Yeah, and I don't think, unlike last year, I don't think Thames will be playing any time in the outfield this year, just because there's not going to be a need for it. However, I'm going to go with Thames myself, just because I still think Santana will get moved halfway through the year. So as far as at bats as a Brewer, I think Thames will get more at bats in the second half and surpass them.
As a Brewer, so it's kind of a trick question, Craig.
Oh, trick question. I got you guys. All right, here we go. 5th inning. Okay, after Stephen Vogt returns, which catcher do you feel should get the majority of the at bats, or either Vogt or Pena? Scott?
Pena. Not really even close to me. He's a much better defensive catcher. I think he calls a good game, and he hit really well last year. I don't know if that's going to carry over to this year. Vogt's probably got a little bit better bat, but overall, Pena is the guy for me.
Vince?
Yep, I think Pena as well. I've been really impressed with watching him call a game recently, and seems to take a lot of leadership and initiative behind the plate. And offensively, he had a great season. So let's see if he can do it another full year.
I'm going to be against you guys and go with Vogt. I really love Vogt as a veteran catcher, and he's left-handed, so I think he should get every start against right-handers. I think Pena should get every start against left-handers and kind of do a strict platoon. That probably won't be the case, but that's the route I'd go with it. Obviously, there are some pitchers that probably prefer that Pena be their catcher regardless of who's throwing against them on the mound that day. So I'm sure you guys are going to be correct, but I would go with Vogt as being the most at-bats between the two from the point that he's healthy on, which hopefully will be in about a month. Okay, 6th inning. Who is your preferred leadoff hitter? Jonathan VR, Christian Yelich, or Lorenzo Cain? Vince?
Lorenzo Cain. He's really proved it just the first 2 games of the year. And small sample size, but he's a veteran. He knows how to adjust the roles that he's put in. I think he's an outstanding leadoff hitter with Yelich number 2.
All right, Scott?
Obviously, VR. No, not VR. Not VR. Not ever VR. No, I agree. It's got to be Cain. Cain's he's just done it longer. So right now, he's the guy.
I agree with both of you guys. Cain, Yelich, I think has a great on-base percentage. He'd be fine a leadoff spot, but I really love him in the number 2 hole hitting in front of Braun. The lefty-righty thing there works out better. Definitely Cain. All right, moving on to our next question. Scott, you could start us off on this one. This is an over-under question. Over-under. Predict the amount of games Ryan Braun plays as a Brewer in 2018. Over or under 140 games played?
Say that again, Craig. I'm sorry. I missed part of that.
Over under. How many games will Ryan Braun play this year? 140 games.
Okay.
Over or under 140?
I'm going to have to take the under. I don't remember the last time Braun's played 140 games.
Vince?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under as well. I think I don't have the stats in front of me. I think he played, about 120 games last year, something like that. So I think he can improve on that with the platoon situation. But, they're going to rest him as often as they can. And he's still not going to play a ton of games.
2014 was the last time Braun played exactly 140 games.
Thank you, Scott, for the quick stats. I'm going to go against the grain here and say that he's going to be one of his healthiest season and as a Brewer, and he's just going to surprisingly stay healthy all year, and I'll take the over on that, actually. Okay, that brings us to the 8th inning. Which team do you hate the most? NL Central rival team do you hate the most? The Cardinals or the Cubs? Whose turn is it? Is Vince?
We can't hate the Pirates? No, I hate the Cardinals a lot. The Cardinals seem to have had our number at crucial times over the years and seem to beat us in the 82 World Series, the team that knocks out of the NLCS in 2011, managed by Tony La Russa. I hate everything about him.
Scott?
Boy, this is a toss-up because they're both so hateable. But here's the thing. The Cardinals, they've been easy to hate for a really, really long time. They hold the keys to the baseball kingdom. They know all the unwritten rules, and they just make them up as they go. And they also can void their own unwritten rules and say, "Oh, let's not sign dirty players. That's wrong. Steroids are so wrong. Let's sign a bunch of guys that did steroids." All right. So I can't stand them. The Cubs, believe it or not, the Cubs right now, they're not that hateable. If you would have asked me maybe 10 years ago, wow, there were a lot of people on the Cubs that I hated. Moises Alou, Zambrano. There were a lot of people. I can't think of
it. I didn't like.
But, boy, it's just not a team that no one liked them, I'm sure. But, yeah, right now, Cardinals.
Yeah, my answer will be similar to you guys. If this makes any sense, and this is maybe a cop-out, I hate the Cubs fans more, but I hate the Cardinals franchise more. Mostly, and especially when it comes to, I'll lean and say, I'll say the tipping the scales for the Cardinals overall will be because of 82 and in 2011 when they just knocked the Brewers out, those bastards. All right, 9th inning. What's your favorite Brewers baseball card that you own? I don't know whose turn it is. I think Scott.
Boy, this is going to be difficult because I started buying. I really wish I would have known this question beforehand because I bought some cards of some terrible Brewers, autograph cards of really bad Brewers, people that just didn't pan out. I just can't remember them. I think I might have a signed Arnett card, maybe. I don't know, but it was $1.50 on eBay. I'm like, yes, but
you overpaid.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, that was with shipping, so shipping was $1.25. So, but I'm sure I still have a Robin rookie somewhere in the getting ready to field a ground ball at shortstop with a little bit of the fro hanging out. So yeah, he's I think that's the card I got that I love the most. And if you want to ask me the one I hate the most, I probably at one point had about 65. I want to say they were 87 Don Ross Brad Comics cards.
Oh yeah, former Brewer, by the way, Scott.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It
was a Brewer on the card. He was in every single Donruss pack that year. I don't know why, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think we're dating ourselves, so that's okay. Vince, do you have any favorites?
Boy, I got an old set of cards from my dad from when he was a kid in the 60s, so it's not Brewers related, but he gave me a set of 65 tops that he had collected just in the packs. So that was pretty special.
That was awesome. Very awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably that's Milwaukee Braves in that one.
Yep.
So I'm just going to go with 1983 Topps Gorman Thomas card. For one, that's my favorite baseball card set ever, and that card and his pictures on it just epitomizes not only Gorman Thomas, but kind of the Harvey's wall bangers. Big burly, not necessarily athletic guy with a mustache, and kind of epitomize the team during that era. And it's hard for you to look at that card and not be like, well, this guy's a Milwaukee Brewer. So that'll be my answer. So, all right. Well, unfortunately, that's going to wrap it up for this podcast. Like I said, if you tune in a week from now, we'll hopefully have another one with some some of our initial minor league info coming in. And again, we'll answer some more of your emails. You can fire them off to us at brookreview@hotmail.com or on our Twitter. Again, check out our YouTube channel and other things as well. So we'll look forward to another podcast. Thanks again, Scott. Thanks, Vince.
Thank you, Craig.
And
Thanks.
let's go Brewers.
Go Brewers, guys.
Go Brewers.